Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Dirty, flirty, dirty.
Dirty girl. Hello. Hi.
Am I announcing myself?
Hello, it's me, Simone. Hi.
That's some ASMR stuff.
Ooh, should we go for like a... I don't even know if you can hear it.
That's hot. That's hot.
I don't understand ASMR. I really don't.
I love ASMR.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. Like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to something. I have been looking, again, hi everyone. I've been looking at keyboards.
Oh, I've got a keyboard
Okay.
that clicks.
A mechanical keyboard.
I have it,
It's a thing.
but my boyfriend got it for me, so.
Fancy.
Yeah.
So who am I?
So who are you? We weren't planning on starting with ASMR, but yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the pod. We've got a guest, our first ever guest.
Woo!
And so we'll let her introduce herself. Go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Simone, and I'm 30. What now?
So we like to start off our pod with a very important question.
Uh-oh.
What's your value? No, so what's your value in life?
Slip that one in there.
What
Your
value do you
face,
bring?
though.
What TV show, what content have you been consuming?
I've been watching Limitless with Chris Hemsworth, and it's about living longer, and it's interesting as heck. Really enjoying it, and it's all about longevity, and he does fasting and like swimming in extreme hot and cold temperatures and stuff, and putting your body through the works to see how it helps your immune system build. So my boyfriend and I have been like hitting the gym,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
just trying new stuff, trying to go out in nature, see the sun.
I've heard of the show. I've watched it a little bit. Were you more interested in it because we're now 30?
Ooh.
Well, no, because I am, right? So
Yeah.
the reason he started the show was because he found out he had the Alzheimer's gene.
That's
Oh.
right.
That's the reason why he went through it. So episode 1 is about him skydiving or something like that. Episode something was about fasting, which I'm keen to get into actually. But yeah, but why? Why now?
I think I wouldn't have taken it as seriously in my 20s because it didn't apply. Like, you're young, your immune system's like off the charts good. You can sort of just eat what you want, do what you want, and your body's going to cope generally. But then as I've gone on in my 20s, like the back pain I've been experiencing, and like random things happening like gingivitis. You're like, what is this? What? I brush my
that's
teeth
the-
twice a day.
That's the gum things.
Is that the one where
Oh,
you
it's
like,
the-
Gums
the
get
gum things, yeah, yeah, yeah.
inflamed,
Oh,
not
yeah.
fun.
No.
Couldn't eat. And yeah, just like more and more problems kept stacking up, and then eventually I went to a physio, and he said, "You're weak, Simone." That was his words.
In general.
you are weak as fuck and brittle.
Yeah, and he was just like, "If you were children, you need to be stronger." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
Pelvic floor and all this stuff. I am learning so much because my sister's pregnant. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
sister.
How many months in?
Yeah,
if you don't
she's
mind me asking?
halfway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking June.
July,
July,
yeah. Oh, June,
yeah.
July,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw this on Facebook and I'm like, oh, it's going to be close to my birthday in July. Can you imagine?
do.
Also, Dragon Baby.
Dragon baby.
Yeah, lucky baby. So yeah, I've been definitely taking a lot my health so much more seriously because sort of in the start of 2022-3, because it's 2024. Yeah, I was like almost bedridden from back pain, and I was like, I am way too young to be experiencing this. I was like 29. So once the physio was like, "You're weak, you can't do a single push-up," I was like, "I know, so what? Like, I'm a pretty lady." And he's just like, "You're skinny fat." And he was
Now the
right.
scientific term.
Yeah, the skinny fat. Yeah. And he was telling me how there's like fat around my organs and it's not safe.
Yeah, the
So,
visceral fat.
Yeah, I've been hitting the gym. Now I can do
No, well done.
12 push-ups
That's
on my
good.
toes.
Well done.
That's
Yeah.
good. On your toes.
On
I
my
actually
toes.
find it a struggle to even get 8 sometimes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, women are not built to have strong shoulders generally. You gotta
And-
work for it.
This is a sad thing. Talking about strong shoulders gets me really sad. I also
Yes.
think we might need, we need to work on our body, but society dictates that only certain parts of our body, because if we're too manly in
Yes.
certain other parts.
Abs but no shoulders.
Yes, exactly. Just like butt but no thighs.
Yes. What is this?
Yeah. Have you heard of the legging legs on TikTok or the legging legs?
No.
So this phenomena, right, when in the early 2000s, there's a thing called the thigh gap.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes.
I remember that trend.
Yeah, so
Muy
you need to
toxic.
see the sun through your thighs in order for you to deem to have beautiful legs. So I think on TikTok, there's a trend where they're like, do you have legs made for leggings?
What?
Yeah, like you
Oh.
need to,
This sounds like some Lululemon shit.
No, this isn't by Lululemon. It's just by these young teenagers who are like, oh, my legs look good in this leggings because I've got legging legs, and it's literally thigh gap, just repackaged.
No. Come on,
Yeah.
Gen Z, don't do it.
See, this is
Yeah.
why you're not on TikTok.
This is,
yeah.
but I only found out about this because I'm on YouTube. So you can find this out on YouTube, like the millennial that we are.
And like corset trainings back in style, which is not.
What's corset training?
You wear a corset for a certain amount of hours in the day
Yeah.
to try and retrain your rib cage and your organs to
really?
sit smaller. It's
So-
not great for you.
How is that different to? So I sit at a desk all day. That's my job.
We can tell.
Yeah, right. And there's
fine,
a
that's
slouch.
fine.
Well, there's a slouch, right?
Okay.
And people wear this thing it's a brace.
Yes.
You know, people wear the brace, right? I suppose that's meant to fix your posture, but you know, training your rib cage is similar. No, or is it just not meant to be in that?
Yeah. I think it's meant to control your hunger.
Yeah, quite a
really?
bit. And Nicole Kidman broke a rib on Moulin Rouge when they were tightening her.
Oh wow.
The boning on her corset. So like it's not super safe all
Yeah,
the
no,
time.
no doubt.
But like the Kardashians are really into it, so obviously it's taken off with the youth.
Sorry. Speaking of safe, so Limitless.
Yes.
Have you tried? Have you tried any of them?
I did the cold shower.
Oh, did you?
It was okay because it's summer.
Yes.
It's about to
Oh,
not
so it was
be.
recent. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun, but it's not going to be fun in July.
But you know what? I think like in terms of youth, lots of young people, lots of older people will dunk themselves in cold water to also retain the elasticity of their skin and such. So like I think so. Like there's this chick, she will take a cold plunge into the river near her house every day, and she looks young. Like I think from memory she might have been like 50, 60, and she looked like she was 20, 30.
That's mental.
So you could look
Wow.
younger whilst be healthier.
And be colder.
Couldn't do it. I
Once
mean,
a
I've
day.
done an ice bath once in my life, like literally just once.
Well done.
It was a work event.
You can't feel emotions.
We went in with, well, no, it was different because we went in with they filled the pool with ice.
Yeah.
So they took a truck and they filled the pool with ice, and
My
there's 30
God.
of us that went in,
Whoa.
freezing. I would do it again
Okay.
with 30 people, so I don't do it alone. And you know what it was? I was sitting in there and I was like, okay, when do we get out? But nobody's moving. I don't want to be the first to
It's
get
a
out.
shame.
For shame.
I've done it a couple times. There's one near Mornington Peninsula.
Cool.
It's a cold plunge, but it's really cold. So like you go into a sauna, and then once you jump into this cold plunge, they actually work you up. They're like, okay, now you do it for 20 seconds and 40 seconds, whatnot. But you feel it's so cold that your feet actually gets numb,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
feel like you're losing your like parts of your body.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I felt the same. And I was like, it's starting to feel comfortable and warm. And somebody said, Iran, that's hypothermia.
Yeah. And your body panics and it starts sending all the blood to your organs to protect it, especially your brain.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Your hands and feet go numb. So Limitless. And then the other thing I've been reading is Stolen Focus, which is about phone addiction because I have a problem. And it scares me how much I like my phone and how much I need it. So Yeah.
This all sounds like very mature, like
I
very
know.
adult shows that you're watching. Like I think the part, like for the
I
past,
love rom-coms. I'm not that smart.
I think for the past couple of episodes, all of our shows were like the brother's son, like all fiction. I don't think we've done anything mature
No,
yet.
well, I'm back on Lincoln Lawyer, but again, fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah.
So I feel like now I need to watch something.
You should definitely watch Limitless.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Not on my, wasn't on my
Watch
list.
the fasting one because I keep saying I really want to try it.
Yeah, yeah.
But 3 days with no food.
I
3
mean,
days.
It's 3 days with no food.
That's more than Ramadan.
And
I
no.
tend to do like 12 hours between, midnight and midday is generally pretty good for
I
me.
can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have breakfast. I don't have lunch. But can I do 3 full days?
I don't know if it's necessary.
No.
The watch the show and it'll
I
be
know
like
the science.
only do this
I
like
know,
once
but
a year.
I know
Like
that's what they
don't.
say.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend who does it
Yeah.
every 2 or 3 months, and he says it really works.
Wow.
I think he's lying, but
Yeah. Bragging rights.
Maybe in like, if you keep doing whatever you're doing from Limitless, maybe in like a couple years time or a couple months time, when we bring you back in, they'll be like, have you been doing it? Has that impacted your life?
The push-ups is enough, man.
You're like, I have achieved my 2024 resolution, and
Well,
that's it.
yeah, it's to reach 20 push-ups and to do 1 chin-up. That's by the end of this year, which
That's
is
a
your
good goal.
whole body weight.
that's a good goal.
Yeah, like trying to
Yeah.
lift friggin'
Look, we're
57
in-
kilos above a bar. That's
We're in February now. I reckon by the end of the year you could do 5 chin-ups.
I don't think so. I've never
feel
done one.
No, that's fine. I remember when I did my first one. I was like, how do you do this? Right?
Yeah. it's too hard.
Actually, talking about resolution, apart from the 20 chin-ups, I know we hadn't established this. Do you...
Push-ups,
20
chin-up.
push-ups, sorry, 20 push-ups, one
chin-up.
One chin-up.
Apart from it, do you have another resolution that you would like to share with us?
I think it always comes back to the same thing, which is like balance and having boundaries and being able, and as someone who can be a people pleaser, being able to be like, I'm at my end, like that's it. I'm going. I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay at this party. I'm not going to be part of this unpaid thing or whatever it is. Like, even like leaving work on time, being like, nope, you're not paying me. I'm not staying.
Well, there's a new law now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I heard. People can't contact you after hours.
They're saying it's the right to switch off after work hours.
I haven't actually heard of this.
We'll chat about it after, but it's new. It was last week or the week before. It's interesting. I don't quite know what's going to happen coming out of it. Moving the way of France, I think, because the French have that.
Yeah, a lot of people I've talked to are outraged, and I'm like, this is good. What are you talking about?
It's good for the worker. It's good for the employee, not the employer.
Yes, yeah. And it's good for people who have historically not had great boundaries. So as soon as I heard this law, I was like, great. Protect people like me who can't
Yes.
be like, I'm going home, sir. I don't get what you say. You know?
Actually, on the topic of people pleasing, so me and Erin were talking about this ages ago, how I'm a people pleaser too. And we were thinking whether we could get someone at some point to talk about how to stop being a people pleaser. So, right? I think that's something that I need.
Yes.
But like now that I know that you're a people pleaser as well, what else have you done in your, apart from relying on the law, thank you, legislation?
Yeah, I'm going to write it in your little book if that's cool.
Oh yeah?
There's a book, and it's called The Courage to Be Disliked. And,
Oh.
and I'm reading this with my boyfriend because he also struggles to say no to people. And I'm like better at it, but I'm quite blunt now. It's like I've gone too far the other way. So
Yeah.
I can't sort of sit right in the middle where I'm just like, no, thank you. It's usually like, yeah, fuck you.
But is that similar to the subtle art of not giving a fuck?
I think it might be, but I haven't read that.
Yeah, I think the concept
Yeah.
sounds similar, but no, we'll have a look.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a great conversation between like a sensei in Japan. So it's translated to English. It's a little bit chunky, like bulky to read sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the student, when I read it when I was like 20, I was very much like just a people pleaser and I had no boundaries. And like when I was reading the book, I was always on the student side. But now rereading it, I'm all on the sensei side. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's the age.
It's the age, man. But I understand the student now, for sure. Like, I'm like, I see what you mean. They're just like, what do you mean you're choosing to be unhappy? You can't choose to be unhappy. You just are or you aren't. And then the sensei's sort of like, no, it's an active choice. It's like, and I believe that, but it's a hard choice to make. And part of choosing happiness is choosing to have boundaries and choosing to say no and defying people and like confronting people.
Well, I think there's an element of that. I think for me, it is making conscious choices of what you can over what you can control. If you can't control it, don't let it stress you out.
Yeah.
If you have control over it, make a conscious decision whether you want to or you don't.
Yeah. for me, like I hate cooking so much, and it's been a choice. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to choose to stop hating this, and I'm going to be like, I am doing this. I'm completing a task, and I'm going to try and enjoy it. And so, like putting on music I like, and like trying to smell it and taste it, and be like a sensory experience instead of like looking at my phone and being like, when will this end? I want to eat. Like,
Then you got to clean.
I'd rather clean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I find it hard to find the creative process in cooking. Yeah. So, yeah, choosing happiness.
Yeah, I feel like that's interesting. I feel like when you said that, I was sitting on that a little bit, right? Because I feel like people used to, if people give me this advice, I'm like, oh,
Oh,
like
it's like toxic positivity.
exactly, it is. That's what I was.
Positivity.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
I've really learnt it recently, and there's someone I follow who does this, and I'm like, stop pretending you're happy all the time. Like, this is ridiculous.
Stop thinking that everything has a silver lining. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes
right?
things are
Sometimes it's just shit.
Yeah. But like, take it in your stride and try and learn from it or whatever. But yeah, it's a tricky line. Like, you can choose to try and like cooking instead of being like, I'm not a cooking person, I'm not a fitness person, I latch to this identity and refuse to try these things because I have historically never done them, and I will never be that. I will never be the kind of person who does 12 push-ups.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like this gradual thing where I'm like, I'm going to stop telling myself I'm not a gym person, I'm just going to go to the gym, and then if I become a gym person, then
So be it.
whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
But if I don't, who cares?
You try.
Yeah.
I'm strong. Cool.
And you also don't have to put yourself in that box.
Any
Like
box.
even if exactly, like by telling yourself you're not something or that you are something, you are limiting yourself anyway, right? To being that criteria that you think you are.
Correct.
So if you just did the thing, even if you don't fit within it, whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
So in summary, limitless. What's the other thing?
Stolen focus.
Stolen focus.
There's a podcast. You can listen to it. And
You can listen to it. We recommend podcasts.
yeah. If you don't like reading,
Yeah, even not so
listen.
limitless, stolen focus, and the courage to be disliked. You're just doing self-help as a 30-year-old.
I know I don't mean to.
No, it's good.
I'm so preachy.
I love it. No,
Toxic positivity.
no,
I know the answer.
you know,
You're Sagittarius. It's giving me an aura, and I just know.
no, I love it. I think like when I turned 30, which was like 2 years ago now, because both of us are turning 30.
Remind me.
Sorry, okay. 2 years ago now, I think I was on Audible, reading all the self-help books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That was a great conversation. So the next question is, how do you know me?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Mel is I'd say one of my oldest friends now, because I don't talk to anyone in high school anymore. Awkward if they're listening. Maybe someone, I don't know.
Like, if you want to talk to her again from Simone's high school, you can reach out.
Yeah,
maybe.
no shade, I guess.
Yeah, but she will say no if she doesn't want to hang out with you. 'Cause boundaries.
Boundaries. Mel and I met, and we did acting school together, and Mel helped bring me out of my shell. I remember that.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, you were very extroverted from a young age, and you were very much like, "No, get up there, Simone, you can do it." And I
She
was
still
like-
is.
She's still like that. She's your hype girl. She's your
She's
hustler.
my hype girl.
And our mutual friend Annie Louie sort of is the glue between our friendship group, I would say. And so she's brought a lot of us back together, which has been nice. I think, yeah.
I think the part that I really loved about this friendship, and actually some of my other adult friendships, is the fact that there are going to be times where you lose touch with some of your friends from bygone era. And when the opportunity comes to reconnect, if you grab it by the balls,
Balls.
grip it hard, but like, so if
By the vulva.
by the vulva, I was like, what's the female version?
Don't grab anyone's phone.
No,
Don't
we
cancel me.
We consent. Explicit consent at every point.
Yep.
If you take that opportunity, I feel like it just gives you such a great like way of reconnecting to people again. Honestly, when we weren't like friends for a little bit, purely because Simone was doing great things in Sydney, I thought at one point I was like, oh, maybe we won't be friends, because I don't think I went to 21st. Maybe I wasn't invited to your 21st. Oh, I know. Right? I remember that.
Time ago.
A long time ago. But I think Annie, I guess in some of our mutual friends were.
But it's not like she's got a chip on her shoulder.
No, I don't. Listen, I just remember, I was like, oh, maybe that friendship fizzled at the time.
I don't remember.
Well,
I did.
It's to your point. Well, to your point just before we started recording, right?
Sorry.
Has it been? If it's been so long,
Yeah.
like, how do you say hello? Like, is it, do this, right?
Actually,
Is it weird? Is it awkward?
COVID brought us together.
Is
was-
that it?
No, so I think either it was Annie or whatnot. After COVID, we had a dinner. Remember we had a Korean barbecue? And then Michael, bless his heart, was vegetarian. And we were like, oh, this is a bad spot for you to go to if you... But then I think that kicked it off. So maybe
Yeah.
COVID and Annie. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah, Annie Louie reached out to me maybe like 2019 or something, but I'm not sure. And she was really thinking about pursuing her stand-up comedy, like completely, fully, seriously, 100% freelance. And so she asked for my advice, and I was like, it was good at the time. So I was like, yeah, do it, man. It would be awesome. You'll work 4 jobs a week, and you'll never sleep. You'll forget who you are because you change identities with each job. You see, I work in childcare, retail, on set like a man, because if you don't act like a man, they'll bully you, and some other job. So yeah, and then shortly after, it all fell apart. So I'm glad that she's doing it and is pursuing it, and that she's making it work. But yeah, for me, I tried for like 5 years to freelance, and yeah, it was tough.
Is that through COVID?
2020 is when it all ended. I think 400 of us got let off on the same day.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
It was massive. It was a weird day, seeing like 400 people just like wandering around like, well, now what? So yeah, and then I moved back to Melbourne.
Actually, so if we go back to that a little bit,
Yeah.
what did you do for your freelance gig, if you are able to divulge?
In terms of paid work,
In terms of anything, I guess well,
everything?
Simone works in the art industry, so
we
there
should
is,
have said this at the start.
yeah, probably. But we talk so much about other great things.
Okay, sorry. I'm Simone. I'm 30, and I was a filmmaker, and I am now like a freelancing musician actor. But I work I'm studying to be a teacher, so teaching is sort of going to be my bread and butter, and then the arts is always going to be like my favorite thing in the world. But I'm happy not to try and make a living off it anymore, because that is stressful.
Yeah, and we're not even in America. I feel like in America you might have a better chance at
I don't know.
maybe, but
It's
like.
it's a bigger population. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So what did you get up to? Like, in what capacity were you working in the film industry here? Because I reckon there'll be heaps of people, like even when I was younger, would have been so curious to see what Australia's industry was able to provide us.
Yeah. I was working as a runner, which is someone that like gets coffees for people, drives D-grade celebrities around, and changes bin liners. And yeah, we'll just help anywhere I can. And that I sort of didn't ever move up the ranks in that 5 years, and I was like pushing so hard, and like every weekend I was like writing, directing, producing. I was always working on like a million projects, and like everyone in my life is like, oh, Simone, she's got like terrible time management, because I'm like, I just don't sleep, and I just like work, burn out. 1 month later, work, burn out. And that was just my life for like 5 years. And like, I don't know if there's a better way to do it. Like, in all honesty, if you want people to know that you're like a serious like filmmaker, director, screenwriter, you just gotta hustle like no one's business.
Wait, so as a runner, is filming and producing and all that part of your gig, or is that your side?
Nah.
That was like the extra on, like the runner
Yeah.
is to help, I guess, pay for that part of your life. Yeah.
You fund your own short films, or you work on other people's films unpaid and stuff like that. And do like things like podcasts as well, if you're trying to get your name out there, or people like wrote their own podcasts. So yeah, it's just like anything. I can do any job on set, basically.
And given that you are half Asian,
Yes.
half Chinese,
Yes.
yes, were there any, like, did your parents say anything about you being this gig? Because obviously,
good
you know,
question.
it's hard to pay and all that, and tough.
Yeah, the degree was very expensive. So once my parents were behind me, like they were always knew I was gonna be in the creative arts. They were like, "Ah, we want an accountant, and she's not, it's just not gonna happen. She can't count."
I caved in though.
Yeah. I cannot multiply fractions. Fact. So yeah, once they realized very early on that was never going to be my path. So I got into the film school that was like dreaming of, but it was in Sydney, and I was 19, and I moved into state. And like in retrospect, I'm like, what a baller move, Simone.
No, I think especially Sydney, like it is such a like the
Massive
New
city.
York of Australia, right?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, it's like LA, it's sunny. There's film stuff.
Always people trying to be influencers.
Yes.
Everyone dresses nicer and walks faster. Is that something I've noticed?
Really?
People walk faster in Sydney, and they definitely dress nicer than Melbourne.
I thought people in Melbourne dressed better.
Melbourne's a bit edgy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in the office district of Sydney, always.
Yeah, they dress up in the city.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Nah, it's full on. What was I saying?
Oh, being how gutsy it is for
Oh,
you to
yeah.
go.
How baller it was to move up to Sydney.
How vulvally it is.
19. I didn't like and the thing is like I had such a sheltered life and like home life was good. I was very lucky and it would have been so easy for me to just stay at home, get a degree, get a job, find a nice guy,
Get
settle
married,
down,
by
get
like
married.
27, 28, pop a kid at 30.
Checklist, right?
Yeah, right. And that's the expectation I had for myself. And then Sydney it threw everything out the window, and then I became much more extroverted and sure of myself. And I came back to Melbourne. My family was like, "Who are you? With an opinion, like, and saying things, saying what you think." So I think it was a very good thing. But yeah, I don't know. Just hustle.
Yeah, but your parents were fine with you pursuing this path, knowing that it was a bit tough at one point.
Yeah, during 2020, they were both like so devastated for me, and I started going to therapy. It was bad.
But therapy is good.
Therapy's so good for you. Highly recommend. But my mum, who's the Chinese side, she was actually the one who was pushing me to go back into the industry. And I never thought my mum would be the one, because she's an accountant and she's a very pragmatic, clever woman. She'd like you.
I get it.
Yeah, and she was the one who was just like, don't give up on this just yet, which is so lovely. But I think my sisters knew me best, and they were like, you need to get out of this industry and like don't look back, because it absolutely tore me apart. Wouldn't recommend it to the faint-hearted. If you give it a shot, just go in with thick skin and know.
I mean, as you're saying, it's hard work, right? You go full on, take a month off. Full on, take a month off. I can do it.
No, I don't know how I did it
No.
either. It's like 12-hour days.
You were young.
And
were
being
young.
young, yeah.
Actually, speaking of being, so I'm curious, right? So I went through something similar with my parents, but did your parents' mentality change between when you were younger to when you're 30 odd years old, in the sense that growing up, Asian family, accountant, engineer, doctor, lawyer.
Lawyer.
Lawyer, accountant,
Role models.
right? But then, now podcasting. But then, was this maybe 4 years ago? It was more about, what do you want to do, Iren? Like, what do you actually want to do?
Oh, that's lovely.
It's changed. And I think what it is my parents' friends' children have gone to do other things.
Yeah.
You know, you get, I don't know, F2 drivers, you get actors, you get all sorts of things. Like, well, maybe there is something else, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think at first they were very hesitant, and they were like, our daughter's in another city. If there's an emergency, no one can help her. And they were pretty worried about the industry. And then, yeah, eventually I got into what I would say was the peak of my career so far. And that was like working on like a big blockbuster movie, getting paid like super well. I had a company car and all this stuff. But like my ego was through the roof. I was such an asshole, and I was so driven, because when you work and burn out and work and burn out, it like molds you. And so I was surrounded by people who wanted things from me, and I wanted things from them. So there were these like transactional friendships as well, and just nothing was fostering the person who I am, which is someone who is like very like soft, squishy, loves children. Oh, I like little squishy. Oh, yeah, like so
Little
maternal.
little Michelin legs.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh,
Oh.
look at the little feet, they're all cute. Like, that's who I am. But yeah, the person I was in Sydney was not a nice version of me. And I find it weird when I look back. I'm just like, damn, I just never shut up about myself. Like, that, and it was like selling. You need this, I got it. I got watches, I got
I got a guy.
I got a guy.
I wonder now that you're older, let's just say if you were to go back to massive if, right? Do you reckon you would be able to handle that pressure or that expectation or ego better?
I think I would be worse.
You
now.
reckon you'd be worse?
I am so easily triggered these days. As soon as someone pushes me too hard, I like freak out and I get like, I push away and I'm just like, you're asking too much of me and I'm leaving. Like, I'm much quicker to quit things now if people are difficult.
But is this the boundary that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe that's like when you it's probably harder to be in that industry as someone with more maturity because now you know what's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I personally dealt with racism and homophobia on behalf of my friends and sexism like no one's business. I had a director throw a chair at me.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was like really scary stuff that happened. And so many like close calls with creepy people like on set as well. And so it's just like, it's a really dangerous environment and it's changing, and like people like ABC and SBS have been awesome for me. There's like a lot of women on set. There's like Indigenous Australians and like Asian people, and I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
I have never seen you before.
Yeah, and like women behind the camera, super rare. Yeah, but yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah, I don't think I could handle it now. I don't know. I think I've just been too burnt by it all, but I do miss it.
It's different. I'm not in your industry, but how old are we now? Mel mentioned it just now. 32.
We're turning 33.
Yep.
33 soon.
No. We're
33.
turning 32. We're
32.
turning 32. We're turning 32. We're turning 32. Relax.
Okay, wait. Is it 32 or 30?
We're turning 32, Mel.
Are we?
Relax.
Did I add an extra year?
I've just given her an extra year. How amazing is that?
Wait.
You're turning 32.
Oh my god, I thought it was 33.
Where I'm going with this
Yes.
is I'm more, and we mentioned it earlier, I'm more deliberate with my time. I'm more conscious about where I spend my time.
Nice.
And I mentioned this in a previous episode, it's where I want to give my energy.
Yes.
So like, if it's not, and to your point about being transactional or having had to have been in that industry, but I wouldn't say it's transactional, but it's more like if it's not going to give me what I want or if I don't get anything out of it for myself, why should I give it any thought?
So in that sense, how do you think you've now molded your hobby into your day-to-day life now that you're becoming a teacher and you're saying you're doing art, doing film stuff on the side, and how have you made it so that you are able to, I guess, enjoy that hobby and maybe even progress it, not in a career sense, but like progress more and put more into it whilst being an adult and trying to get money to further our rent and bills and future kind of thing.
Teaching has so much room for creativity in every subject. Like kids who are visual learners, you can just draw and stuff like that, and symbols, and like, I don't know, there's like lots of like multimedia as well involved in teaching. You gotta do a lot of like videos and PowerPoints and stuff. So like it's a great creative outlet, and kids love silly voices and faces, which is my forte. But yeah, like, and then for me, it's like side hustles. Like I don't pursue money anymore, so like I can take on extra acting work and not get paid. It doesn't really matter. But I know that a lot of people aren't in that sort of situation to do that.
And I have seen your acting work and singing work.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and
You
Simone, I have. And she is great. No, she is great. If you ever wanted to find some quirky singer actor type thing, that's you. It's very fun.
Yeah. And like singing all the time at like gigs and like open mics, and just like not pursuing money takes the pressure off massively. You just enjoy it, and then if the people suck, there's no reason to stay, which is my favorite part. I'm like, nope.
I think something that I think it's quite cool from you, that just like something that you just said, right, is doing something for the sake of fun. Like you want it to act. You don't care if you get money or not. I think that's cool because it's really hard for me to do that. We've had this conversation, I think, maybe outside of the pod, where I feel like everything that I do, I feel like there needs to be a purpose still, which I think gives me some pressure every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you, like, how did you get over, like, apart from, I guess, a little bit is, guess, privilege, right? You don't need the money, but what made you, like, was there anything else that might have gotten you to that sort of thinking?
I think it always comes back to like Sydney in the way that like the person I became when I became money hungry and I was interested in getting other people's approval. People I didn't even know. And I wanted them to be like, wow, you work for blah blah, that conglomerate that makes
blah, blah.
movies. Or like you have a hybrid car. Wow. Like that's cool. And like chasing that dopamine is really addictive, and I think there's a lot of Asian cultures that really value that. It's like, what are you wearing, how much money do you earn, what kind of car do you have? It's so easy to get swept up in that, and it just made me so miserable. So whenever I feel like that urge to be like, I want to impress people, then I'm like, oh, remember when you were a dickhead? like I'm so much happier now that I'm sort of just much more relaxed.
That's, I don't know, and whatever you just said then, I think it really, I don't know, it resounds, like, it's sitting so well with me, and I don't know why. I think I actually need, I think I need to sit on whatever you just said, and then I'll come back to the next podcast and maybe and give you some thoughts. But that just sat so well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Thank you.
it's a thing. It's a thing I find a lot with. So, grew up in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Visit as often as I can. That's the trend that you see in Malaysia, right? Everybody's looking for external validation, and it's not that. I think it's not that people actually want it, but it's that society dictates that you kind of have to, right?
Yep.
Like if you don't, you're the odd one out.
You're the loser.
Well, right? Whereas in Melbourne, I've got a lot of mates that come and live here, move here, still trying to. And I always find it really funny that they feel like they've got this weight that's just lifted off their shoulders now that they're here.
Yeah, wow.
Right? One, I think it's an element of being away from family, the friends that you grew up with and that sort of culture. But also it's just different here. And it sounds like different between Melbourne and Sydney. Melbourne's better.
Melbourne is better. Can you hear her weak laugh?
No comment. No comment.
Okay, I've had 2 seconds to reflect on what you just said.
Thank you.
No. I think why it's set really well as well, right? I think it's the fact that you've utilized who you were when you were younger as a way of figuring out who you should be in the future, kind of thing. In the sense that I remember, like, this is in a relationship context, that when I was younger, I was a bit of a brat. Like, I think I'll get upset more quickly at things that if they didn't go my way. And every once in a while for me, if I act like a brat again in my current relationship, I'm like, oh, remember, you were like that and you made yourself and your partner miserable and you should stop being like that. I think that's what made, like, your statement made me feel.
Yeah, I think selflessness and graciousness are wonderful virtues, and I don't know, I value them so much in my friends, and I'm like, well, how could I possibly ask for wonderful friends if I don't give this back to anyone? And so I think it's so much of that is like losing friends after the whole 2020 shenanigans. I won't sort of go into it, but like there's a lot of people I don't talk to anymore because of the person I became, and that is like a hard lesson. And so I don't know, I think I'll never unlearn this. I hope I never unlearn this. That to be listen to others and to be kind is more interesting than having money or Gucci shoes or whatever the hell it is that I valued.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point, because I was about to ask you if you were to give your younger self a piece of advice. So we've done this in a previous episode. Yep, so we recorded ourselves and a little bit of a spiel on if you were to give your younger self a bit of advice, what would it be?
Did you have your answers?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah.
But we won't say it here because we'll make you listen to our
Which episode?
Episode 6, 7.
Six. No, seven.
Seven.
Episode 7. Yes, episode 7. It's called Advice for a Younger Self.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, I will listen to that. Yeah. Advice for younger self. Oh, I mean, like I think maybe this is also an Asian trait because both my sisters have this really bad. We're all so hard on ourselves. Do you find this is? I don't know if it's an Asian thing or like an
That was
immigrant
mine.
thing, or I don't know if it'll ever shake off. I like fully. I think I'll, and that makes you such a disciplined person, and you strive to be your best because you're like, I can be excellent.
It also, I feel like this is kind of reflective on like if you are feeling shit about yourself. Like in the past, we were like, we can't take a mental health day. We need to go to work.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed until Australia, by the way.
Okay, but I was like, that's probably from your accounting career background too. But what do you think? Like, whenever you are hard on yourself, what would you say or what would you do to remind yourself to be a little easier?
Yeah, I think young Simone really took everything on. I don't know, I still do a bit though, but yeah, really like taking things really personally all the time and feeling like the victim of the world was like a big complex that I've had to work through and being like, the world's against me, COVID's against me, like everything fell apart because the world sucks and stuff like that. It's like, it's climate change, it's war, it's everything. Like, you know, and you can externalize, you could be like, if only I had been born like fully white, or if I had been born a man, then this wouldn't be so hard, etc. But I don't know, you can't control any of that, so why be upset about it?
Well, exactly, right? But you can control how you react to it.
Yeah,
Right.
and you can definitely get mad about racism
And you
et
should, right?
cetera, yeah.
You know, I think it's, you still want to care about things that are important to you, right? Otherwise, you know, what are you doing, right? So, and if you don't care, then technically you won't feel bad about not performing. You want to care about a couple of things, but then, you know, you just ignore the rest. Like, again, to my point earlier, things that you can't control shouldn't get you down. Shouldn't. It will. I get it. We're all human. We're all human.
And I think like if it's something that is so prevalent even in like Asian society, being hard on yourself, that you probably see that in your mom or your dad. No, like I feel like I see it more in my mom. I wonder if this is more of a female thing too, where if they didn't do right by their family, like you'll see your mom just being so hard on herself, or like she might act as like if your grandparents aren't able to arrange or do certain things, like she will be like act as the head of the family and arrange things for the head of the family. And you're like, Mom, you're not there to parent your siblings. Like there's you put a lot more pressure, and sometimes I think about, you know, whether I will be like her, because you reflect who you grew up with. And I'm hoping being less hard on myself will mean that in the future that I won't be as stressed out if I'm unable to do things outside my control.
Yeah, or if you have kids, if they do stuff that
It's outside of
your
control.
You're just like, I'm not going to give you a 20-minute lecture about how this was wrong. I'm going to let you reflect first, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, that's tricky. No, I think advice for younger self would be discerning of who your friends are. Hold them to the same standard as yourself. Don't just be friends with people because they'll be friends with you. Be friends with people because they care about you. They remember the things that you talk about, and they don't just talk about themselves all the time. And so a lot of the friendships that broke down in 2020, when I look back, I'm like, were we good friends, or was I just like a doormat? Like, was I just like, oh, I have friends. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I wish young Simone had picked friends a little bit more. I don't know, with a sharper eye.
Yeah, I mean,
Very forgiving.
You've got me. You've got Annie. That's one,
Right? There's a couple of long friendships.
Yeah, but the other thing that basically I feel like there is a tie throughout the whole thing, like throughout our conversation today, and I think the main tie probably is like a little bit of like knowing your boundaries, knowing where,
Yeah.
you know, saying no to friends that you don't think are doing you well, knowing
Pressuring you.
Knowing who you were like from the past, and now like putting a stop to maybe personalities or tributes that you don't like, and it's all very adults.
Yeah. The other day I was hanging out with some friends and it was such like a weird group of people that came together because I was playing an open mic and I put it on Instagram and then like a couple of people came, but like one is a metalhead, one is an NRL player, and then one is a cabaret artist, and they were all just sitting together chatting and they were all like, what is this group of people? And these people will never come together again. Like it was quite an extraordinary circumstance, but it's just like, one of my friends was like, this is a testament to you because you can be friends with anyone. But the thing that they all have in common is they are people who will go out of their way to go and see you and your show. And like you would do the same for them. And it's like doing things instead of saying things like, you're so pretty, you're so successful, I wish I was like you. Instead of being like, I'm here. I'm here and I'm watching you do your thing.
So on the topic of friends, again, we've talked about this in a previous episode.
Which episode?
Gosh, don't test me. That's really going to test me. But it's called relationships.
So it'll be 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
Great.
No, I that's a topic that I think is very important to me. And so with friends, right? People say surround yourself with people that, one, yes, challenge you. I completely agree. But people tend to surround themselves with people that they find familiar. No. I always think surround yourself with people that are willing to do what you like to do.
Yeah.
Right? Are they willing to put in the effort? Like, I don't always love, I don't love everything. But if my friend's into it, I'll give it a shot. Like,
So why haven't you tried dragon boating?
I did. I
kid.
I did. I went once, but I did.
But it's not the same. You need to be there for longer.
Yes, I suppose. Yes.
I kid. You do. Once is enough for a lot of
Brings it
people.
up every episode.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter if your friends are different from you. I think if anything, that's a good thing. It means you're being exposed to different opinions. And I got friends that are right wing and left wing and centrists and like, I don't know, all kinds of things. It's just, do we care about each other, and can we like get past those differences and talk about them, and it not be like a deal breaker? Like,
We'll have different opinions. We're adults.
yeah. Maybe that's a big part of your 20s is finding like your clan and finding people who are like you, and then your 30s you're like, I'm in an echo chamber of my own opinions. Maybe I should branch out.
Yeah. Which is why I think, like, even the topic of how we got back together as friends was really good, because I feel like you probably experienced different experiences, right, in Sydney, and then I've experienced mine here in Melbourne. And now when we're back together, we can probably have a wider array of topics and life experiences to exchange. And it's not like, we're not doing the same sort of career path.
No,
we
not
have
at all.
one shared interest, but even then it doesn't cross path often. But here we are.
Here we are.
I think that's about it for the pod. It's been so
Serendipitous.
you have
What a segue. You've done this for a while.
but I feel like you've set a very high standard for our guests so far. It's been
thank
so good having you here. I'm getting a little emotional, I'm not gonna lie.
But why?
I think back to that whole friendship thing, I think the fact that you're willing to be here, like, you said yes, you're willing to, I guess, participate in a little experiment.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've been so, like, excited and willing again to just give it a try. I don't know, like, you know that lots of people, like, it would be a hard thing for some people to do, or, like, it might not be interested, like, people might not be interested, and you're here.
Showing up for your friends.
Exactly.
Yes. Full circle. We did the thing.
Yes. We closed it out perfectly.
Yes. And like you're everyone's cheerleader, but like who's your cheerleader?
Exactly. And now I know I've got one here.
One. Just one.
Two. Okay, 2 areas.
It's like I'm not here.
Annie
like I'm not
Louie,
even
you can
here.
suck it. So she'll be on next episode.
We will have Annie Louie,
The comedian.
the comedian, who will be in the Melbourne Comedy Festival.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
so am I.
Yeah. Oh, are you
I
in?
should have mentioned that.
Yeah, you probably should have
I
mentioned
can
that.
plug myself.
Oh, let's
in.
plug yourself in now. So, Simone, what comedy show will you be in?
I'm in Impromptunes, the improvised musical theatre production.
Oh, fun.
It's insane.
And what dates?
Why don't you talk and I'll look up the dates.
Oh, well, we've already said what we needed to say.
No, again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for making the time.
My pleasure. It's been
Yeah.
awesome. What a
Yeah.
fancy place to record.
Wow.
We're looking at the city, ladies and gentlemen. It's beautiful
So
day.
Simone's backdrop is Melbourne CBD. It's
Stunning.
not Sydney. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry about that. So I am on the 30th and 31st of March, and then the 6th and 7th of April.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We will be there if we can. Yeah.
Be there for your friends.
Yeah, for your friends.
Will the NRL player and the cabaret and what was the other one?
The metalhead.
And the metalhead? Yes.
I reckon the metalhead will be there. He has already seen one of my shows.
Yeah.
The other ones, the NRL plays in Sydney. The cabaret artist is always doing shows, so I reckon she'll have a competing show.
Yeah.
if
Fair
anything.
enough.
Yeah, but it's like making up, singing, dancing, acting, rhyming, character, story arc all at the same time, and it's all live, and it really is on the spot. It's
Yeah, wow.
terrifying. So I do a lot of rhyming games when I'm driving alone. I'm just like, it's one called Rhyme Associate. I'll quickly teach you this if you're interested.
sure. Okay.
Okay, so if I go pen, you rhyme with me.
Ben, can I say names? No. Ben.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ben. And then associate Ben. You could do like man, right? Man, and then you would go rhyme with man.
Can.
Associate.
Coke?
Bloke. Dude.
So is this the rhyming or is this the associate?
Rhyme.
Rude.
Yeah, great. Associate.
Polite.
Oh,
Oh.
good luck.
I don't know. I tap out.
Delight. Smite. Fight.
Wait, so that means so you're doing 4 shows, right? So every show will be different.
Absolutely. And the audience gives us the title,
Oh, you're
and sometimes
fucked.
they're terrible. Sometimes people are like, poop. And we're like, Poop the Musical. And we've done that multiple times. Like, it's so bad.
So are we, when we're there, should we say poop?
Look, I reckon both of us on both sides of the room will say poop.
It's so hard for us. Yeah, and one of my favorites was Oompa Loompa Up My Jumpa.
I'm sorry, what?
You can listen to it on anywhere you stream. I play piano on that podcast.
So for our listeners out there, what's the name of your show again?
Impromptu.
Impromptunes. 30 and 31st of March and 6th and 7th of April.
Very good memory.
And then Oompa Loompa.
My Jumpa.
My Jumpa is a radio
It's a podcast
show
episode.
that,
Amazing.
I
that
played piano on.
there you go. So if you have nothing else to watch, see, listen, you want more content from
After
our
this
guests
podcast.
after this podcast,
Yeah.
we have provided.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your podcast idea, which is why I messaged you when you first were like, hey, we're doing a podcast. I was like, yes, Mel.
Yeah.
Do creative work.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we hope to see you. We hope to see you again.
Or hear
Hear you again at some point in the future.
Hear us again.
Hear us again, and we hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Daddy flooded daddy.